with the song, no matter how independent you are, you still need a man.
And on that note, what is the best advice you would have given to date to others who want to come, other inspiring artists?
You have to believe in yourself. And you have to pray. I tell people, everybody say, oh, you're so tough and rough. I'm not. Obi say, oh, you're hard, but you got a soft heart. And that's the truth. I was brought up by a praying grandmother, and I believe that her prayers, even to this day, still guiding me and leading me and bringing me through.
Amen.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
The world. I'm starting a doctorate in musical arts, and the doubt is there, the fear is there, but I'm gonna do it. I don't know how, by hook or crook, but I'm gonna do it.
The industry right now is a competitive one. If you could change anything about the industry, what would it be?
In our industry, especially here in our Bahamas, I think we need to get rid of the black crab syndrome. This pond is too small for that. Everybody has to help everybody, Like my grandma used to say, come on, go. If I don't have the money to record a song, I can go in somebody's studio and sing, and I sing background for you on somebody else's project. I think as artists, we just have to realize that God has blessed each one of us with our individual talents, and there's no need for jealousy, there's no need for backbiting and stabbing and all that stuff. So, just like I always say, be yourself, be honest, be truthful to yourself.
One network.
This used to be the waiting terminal for the airport. It's now gone.
We have the most experienced team covering hurricanes.
But when Hurricane Irma makes landfall here in New Providence in a few hours,
we cover the entire Bahamas before, during, and after the storm. One network covers every island rocking. We are the best because we have the best. For hurricane coverage, there's only one network. The readiness Network.
This is John Pinder, MP for Central and South Abaco. I want to reach out to all Abaconians and make sure that we are mindful of being prepared for this upcoming hurricane season, whether in terms of food resources, water resources, flashlights and batteries, and know where your safe spot is to go to in case of a major storm.
For hurricane coverage, there's only one network, the readiness Network.
Hey guys, it's that time of year again, the Atlantic hurricane season. Are you ready? Here's another readiness hurricane readiness tip to help you prepare. Edward Albury, Vice President with responsibility for claims at J.S. Johnson, tells us when we should update our home insurance policy and how to tell if we have enough coverage.
As far as your policy being updated and sufficient coverage, optimally you would want to make sure that your sums insured mirror the value of your property. And one of the ways to do that is to have a professional appraisal done at regular intervals, perhaps maybe every 3 years, so that you know what the value of your home is and you can match that to the sum insured.
Now, should we inform our insurer about any home improvements?
Well, obviously, anything that you do to your house, any improvements or whatever, you want to make sure and let your insurer know. Because if you say, for example, you buy a generator or you add a section to your house, these changes change the values that are involved. And so your insurer should know so they can tell you whether or not your insurance should be adjusted to match the changes in the value. So any changes that change the risk, right, or the value of the properties, they should be updated and notified to your insurer.
This has been another readiness hurricane readiness tip to prepare you for the storm. Hey guys, it's that time of year again, the Atlantic hurricane season. Are you ready? Here's another ZNS Hurricane Readiness tip to help you prepare. Your roof is one of the most important parts of your home to prepare for a hurricane. Antonio Miller addresses the idea that a roof is only good for 20 years and tells us what to do to get the roof storm ready.
If you have a roof that is more than 20 years old, it's highly unlikely that the whole structure is going to be given away at the same time. You should be able to identify whatever weak spots that are in your roof. May that be shingles missing because of past winds, past storms. May it be drip cap rusting.
This has been another ZNS Hurricane Readiness tip to prepare you for the storm. Hey guys, it's that time of year again, the Atlantic hurricane season. Are you ready? Here's another ZNS Hurricane Readiness tip to help you prepare. Edward Albrecht, Vice President with responsibility for claims at J.S. Johnson, lets us know what insurance coverage we could have if we need to live elsewhere after a storm hits while our home is being repaired.
Under the hurricane peril, additional living expenses is not covered. It's covered under fire and escape of water losses, but under the hurricane peril loss, it's not. However, it can be added in for an additional premium. And that's probably worth it, considering that once you have that cover, it'll pay up to 15%, say, of the sum insured for rental or hotel accommodation while the home is being repaired. So if we use our same figure that we did before, $200,000, so 15% is $30,000. So you have that $30,000 buffer to provide for hotel or rental while the home is being repaired. So the contractor will come and say, oh, listen, it'll take 5 to 6 months to repair the home. So you will have that money there ready to pay for those accommodations to cover that period.
And does our policy help with debris removal after a storm?
Debris removal, clearing the site and making it more inhabitable, that is covered under the policy already.
This has been another ZNS Hurricane Readiness tip to prepare you for the storm.
Only one network.
This used to be the waiting terminal for the airport. It's now gone.
We have the most experienced team covering hurricane.
But when Hurricane Irma makes landfall here in New Providence in a few hours,
We cover the entire Bahamas before, during, and after the storm. One network covers every island rocking. We are the best because we have the best. For hurricane coverage, there's only one network, the ZNS Network.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the national report, residents evacuated. Preparation mode in overdrive. The Grand Lucayan deal falls through. And in sports, Bahamas' World Cup qualifier in the air. The Bahamas tonight, the national report starts now.
ZNS News is linked up by BTC. Whether it's chatting, gaming, content creating, or working smart to get things done, link up to stay connected with BTC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lapinder, and this is the Bahamas Tonight, the national report. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with more news on Tropical Storm Nicole. And for that, we turn to Chief Meteorologist early in our newscast for the latest.
Thank you, Makishita. Nicole continues to close in on the northwest Bahamas at 7 o'clock. Just a few minutes ago, the Hurricane Center posted these numbers. Latitude 27.3 degrees north, longitude 74.3 west. That puts Nicole about 250 miles northeast northeast of Abaco. Nicole is now moving west-southwest at 10 miles per hour. Maximum sustained wind still holding at 65 miles per hour. We also have that hurricane warnings in place for the extreme northwest Bahamas, which includes Grand Bahama, Bimini, Abaco, and the Berry Islands. And we have a tropical storm warning in place for the remainder of the northwest Bahamas, which includes Andros, New Providence, and Eleuthera. And I must say that those tropical storm force winds will start taking effect on the Abacos starting around 10 o'clock tonight. Makishla?
Well, thanks, Basil. We'll certainly check in later on in our newscast with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean in terms of where Nicole is headed. Meantime, our Desmond Saunders is on the ground in Abaco, where no doubt anxiety is growing 2 years after Mother Nature disseminated that family island. Well, we'll hear more from Desmond later in the newscast. For the meantime, Tropical Storm Nicole's prevailing threat prompting an unscheduled sitting of the House of Assembly this afternoon as the government closely monitors the system on track to become a hurricane. In a brief statement, Acting Prime Minister the Honorable Chester Cooper reiterated the call to take the storm seriously, and this following disturbing reports from Abaco in particular.
Persons who persist on riding out the storm in domes, in trailers, and structures that are simply unfit. We ask them, we urge them to move to NEMA, official NEMA shelters immediately and not risk their lives by attempting to ride out the storms in unfit accommodations.
Now, speaking further to the issue, Minister with Cabinet responsibility for the National Emergency Agency, and that's Honorable Miles Laroda, who gave this update on where hurricane preparedness plans stand.
There have been residents evacuated from Sweeting Ski and currently in transit to Maurice Moore Primary School in Grand Bahama. 2 Royal Bahamas Defense Force officers are on duty at the shelters there. We have evacuated 25 people from Guanaqui that were living in containers. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force Lawrence Major has been deployed, and NEMA has sent food, water, and other basic supplies on board in preparation for response to impacted islands. Our partner in the Caribbean, SEDEMA, have been notified and are on notice and willing to assist if that need arises, Madam Speaker. Creole messages have been crafted via Marco Alert system and sent to migrant communities.
Well, as indicated, our Desmond Saunders is on the ground in Abaco, one of the islands expected to be directly impacted by Tropical Storm Nicole. Desmond?
Well, I don't know if you can see what's happening behind me, but the winds have intensified, and meteorologists predict a 6-foot sea surge, and this storm is expected to produce heavy windfall, heavy rains. When my cameraman and I got here early this afternoon, there was a heavy downpour, and from the looks of things and from the feel on this island, a lot of residents are feeling fearful. There's a feel of anguish and despair. As you're aware, the horror of monster storm Dorian still lingers, but earlier this afternoon, I had an opportunity to visit some of the grocery stores and lumber supply stores, and here's what we found in this clip.
What were the popular items up for grabs?
Of course, it was water, canned goods, bread, any of the bread basket items. That's what they were getting. It has been busy. Everybody's, in hurricane mode. Of course, we always in the path of the hurricane. So they have been just going. Well,
so far, it's been going good. We're taking it serious. We were here during Doreen, so we've buttoned up and secured all of our properties, and we're now getting our last-minute shopping in. I'm just buying a few last-minute items. We did some shopping earlier this morning, but I'm here now back again. The last-minute stuff I didn't get, mostly drink items, stuff like that.
How have you been prepared?
Cleaning up the yard, looking out for other folks, doing a little bit of my former job with BPL, cutting down some trees in the neighborhood, jeopardizing the power lines and such. But other than that, just staying aware, you know.
Well, as you saw in that clip, people are not taking this storm lightly. A number of persons on the streets getting those last-minute items. Joining me on the broadcast this evening, I have the administrator for Hopetown, Donald Rowe, joining me on the broadcast this evening. As I said, roaming the streets, a lot of persons. There's a sense of urgency that I haven't seen during the last storm. Is Abaco ready for a hit?
Abaco is ready as far as we can say that our planning and progress, that we have been planning for this now from 2019 after Hurricane Dorian. We have learned some stuff. We have made some adjustments to what we have been doing, and we have a better understanding, and we are reaching out more to people to ensure that their safety and the safety of their property are not compromised by unnecessary building, and make sure that we take heed to what is going on around us.
Now, one of my friends was able to capture some pictures earlier, and to my understanding, there is some flooding in Cooperstown. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I know some low-lying areas in Cooperstown and Blackwood, and we know that around the airports and those low-lying areas, but our servicemen, along with the local government practitioners and Ministry of Works, are working together to rectify the problem.
Now let's talk about the vulnerable communities and the shanty towns that have grown exponentially. What's happening with those communities? Have you reached out? What's the word with those communities now?
Well, in our meeting yesterday, we had decided that we will get a team of Defense Force, the police force, along with some religious leaders from the Haitian community, and they would have visited those residents in the highway, S.C. Boodle Highway, and they would have give them all of the information that is needed to be secure during this hurricane, and to evacuate especially those low-lying areas and those buildings that was not built to the building code of the Bahamas.
Now, I had an opportunity earlier to visit several stalls. Actually, Abaco has designated 12 emergency shelters, I believe.
Yes, 12 emergency shelters.
Final appeal?
I am looking forward to appealing to the people of Abaco and the entire country as we prepare ourselves and as we buckle down for this hurricane. Take heed to those warnings, especially by the Meteorological Department.
And I want to repeat what Mr. Roll said. It's very, very important. This is a very serious storm, and you want to take it seriously. Not many people are taking it very lightly from the looks of things and from the accounts earlier. So that's what's happening here in Abaco, and we'll be back shortly.
Well, thanks, Desmond. Certainly some good information coming from out of Abaco there. Meantime, though, thousands of miles away from home, Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis is receiving briefings about the storm's development and trajectory. In fact, he says he's in frequent communication with his deputy, whom he thanked, along with other officials, for leading the country's preparations. Now, speaking directly to residents of Grand Bahama and Abaco, the Prime Minister accepts this is especially difficult to face another storm, but he's comforted by the many stories he's already heard about those going out their way to help neighbors take smart precautions. The Prime Minister adding that everyone's in his heart and prayers, and the Bahamas will get through this safely together. Well, over in Bimini, that's where you'll find a number of visitors riding out the storm at several top resorts. Island Administrator Desiree Ferguson gave us this update.
The shelter is at Louise McDonald High School. We have 2 persons from River Renewal, a police officer and a defense officer there now, but no occupants there yet. We have one at Gateway Stadium, 2 officers and a defense force and a police officers, and 2 voluntary workers, the key holders from there. They are there. No one is has checked in as yet.
Now, North Lutherans may not feel the full brunt of Tropical Storm Nicole until about early Wednesday morning, but they're determined not to be caught off guard, as many of them spent the early part of the day purchasing food items and taking precautions to safeguard life and property. Island Administrator Stephen Wilson confirming that the glass window bridge is closed to motorists and encouraged residents to avoid the area as best as possible, as the seas are rough and the roads impassable.
The glass window bridge, no one is allowed on the bridge at all. I know persons may want to go up there and take photos, but we are urging persons to stay from around the area.
Now, Wilson says there's a fuel shortage on Harbor Island, and every effort is being made to resolve the issue ahead of the storm's arrival. Well, Public Works and Utilities Minister, the Honourable Alfred Sears, is assuring residents of those islands in Nicole's direct path that their lights will not be disconnected due to outstanding power bills.
I was also assured that there will be no disconnection in those areas which are subject to a warning. So those islands and the residents on those islands will not be interrupted in terms of disconnection during this warning period. We also have the securing of plants and offices throughout the Family Islands by BPL. I also had an opportunity to speak with our team members in Andros, in Grand Bahama, in Eleuthera, and in Abaco. And I received a report in terms of the preparatory work that's being done.
Assurance also coming in from the Public Hospitals Authority, whose executives say they have completed assessments and inventory of medical supplies there. PHA Managing Director Dr. Aubanet Rose says they're prepared for any eventuality.
So we've topped up our food supplies, our medical surgical supplies. We have the assistance of Bahamas there to facilitate some of those. We also have the ability to fuel up our generators to ensure that we have generation in the event that electricity goes out. We also have propane for cooking. We've also been liaising with partners who assist with, we have what we call a special needs center to be able to care for those persons who require some medical attention.
Flooding, a major issue for Grand Bahama's Rand Memorial during Hurricane Dorian, and according to Dr. Roll, it's still a concern. She noted, though, the substantial work done to the roof of the Princess Margaret Hospital.
We ensure that they have everything that's working, all of their equipment, and so they're on the ground. They're also on the ground in Grand Bahama, and we've also going to move for them to be placed in 8 Mile Rock so that that distance is not so far from bringing patients up, as well as EMS has moved now to Thompson Boulevard, and so there's a distance between where they were before on First Terrace, and therefore we're going to have an ambulance as well stationed at Princess Margaret Hospital as the midpoint.
Well, teams from the Bahamas Red Cross on the ground in the affected areas readying themselves to render assistance if needed. With more on preparations, here's Red Cross President Therese Curry.
Have our group leaders on the ground on the various islands that's being impacted potentially by this tropical storm. And they are reporting in on the hour what they are experiencing. Our Red Cross volunteers have already reported to the shelters to be shelter managers and to assist at the shelters where needed on those various islands. And, you know, in the event that supplies are needed, then we would be able to send supplies to those respective islands.
Well, as preparation mode intensifies, as does Nicole, as she takes aim for the Bahamas on the way for the Florida coast. NEMA officials briefing the public this afternoon on where things stand as they seek to ensure the best favorable outcome. Our Lloyd Allen has all the details.
Regarding subtropical storm Nicole, by Wednesday around 1 p.m., Nicole is expected to intensify, topping out at 75 miles per hour nearer to Grand Bahama and Abaco. Now, on Tuesday around 4:30, the National Emergency Management Agency hosting another critical meeting where Director Captain Stephen Russell says 36 Sweeting Key residents and others from Guanakee have since been evacuated.
As we speak, and as you'll see later, the storm is now on a path on a course heading west, with winds now up to 60 miles per hour and a speed of roughly 9 miles per hour. So it's definitely on a projected path to impact islands in the northwestern Bahamas, as we discussed earlier during the course of the week.
Now, Jeffrey Green from the Met Office indicating that added to the subtropical storm conditions intensifying, conditions around the country still are being watched by many.
Nicole is moving to the southwest at 10 miles an hour. We expect this trend to continue. A more northwest trend would take place on Thursday.
Trevor Moss from the Ministry of Tourism indicating that at least one cruise ship has been diverted in addition to other adjustments.
We effectively engaged ESF 12 and our command center, and we will be operating that command center from 8 a.m. to midnight. In addition to that, we have staff for the ministry here at NEMA.
Sterling Moss, Director of Field Operations at BPL, also updating on contingencies, advising consumers to utilize rubber boots and other safety measures.
Our teams today have secured buildings and property and have bunkered down for the storm, having made the necessary preparations. BPL would like to encourage customers who will be affected by this tropical storm to prepare mentally and otherwise for the approach of this storm. As you know, power outages will in all likelihood result as the storm approaches. As such, consumers on affected islands should note that BPL, as we have said earlier, may elect to shut off power to areas of our network fed from overhead power systems as soon as there is sustained winds exceeding 40 miles per hour.
Defense Force along with police officials remain on the ground. In addition to that, residents in the affected areas are being advised to continue to monitor meteorology updates as they continue, as the passing of the storm continues. Reporting from the National Emergency Management Office for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen.
Well, thanks, Lloyd. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight. The National Report returns after this.
This portion of the news was brought to you by Sun Oil Limited Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
You have enough things to worry about. Living in a world that can seem opposite of the things you are trying to accomplish.
I can need a little help with this.
We're here to let you know that you don't have to go at it alone. Choose peace of mind. Choose comfort. Choose CB. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
We just got the new fiber internet speed bump. Now my internet's so fast I can watch 2 4K movies, play video games, and browse on my computer at the same time.
Yeah, my internet's so fast I could download a whole season of shows before my noodles run cooking.
Mine's so fast when I go to church online, service actually over early.
Mine's so fast when I'm working from home, 5 o'clock, come before 3.
Sound like you got this BTC fiber internet speed bump like me.
But it's so fast I had to have it.
Current fiber internet bundle customers now have as much as 3 times the speed. Totally free. Link up with BTC.
We need to save.
Be happy! Save at KFC with the one-piece chicken box fill-up for only $5.95. Enjoy genuine savings and the genuine flavor of KFC chicken fried to golden perfection with crispy fries, a buttery biscuit, and an ice-cold Pepsi. Only at KFC Nassau.
Today, we're doing a beach cleanup. So it makes us think about, number one, the plastic is coming from all around the world. And then we have an international team working on this beach to remove that plastic to make this community better.
This is one of those beaches that always has marine debris that washes up, and so we're doing our part just to remove as much of it as possible.
We have a lot of key species and native and migratory species that rely on our beaches for nesting sites or food. So it means a lot for Disney to be a part of this and for me to be a part of this initiative.
Mother Earth is all that we have to rely on in general. So if we don't find ourselves being involved with keeping it the way it should be kept, then we find ourselves neglecting one of the most important things in life.
The Disney volunteers are everywhere trying to make a difference. If you could see the amount of debris we picked up off of this beach, I feel we did make a difference here today.
To think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Well, at this point, we've heard from the Met Office, BPL, the PHA, the Red Cross, and to some extent, even you, John Q. Public. Well, BTC's Director of Technological Operations, Chantel Hutchinson, is joining us via Zoom this evening to let us in on how preparations are coming along on their end. Ms. Hutchinson? All things considered.
Good evening. All things considered, we have completed our checks actually at 4:30 this afternoon. Our teams have checked in with our local NOC at BTC, and they've confirmed that all preparations are ready and completed. So we are sitting in a watch and wait. Teams have been mobilized in the event that we do need to go into these impacted islands. Teams have been mobilized and they're waiting just so we can ensure that our services stay up.
Some insight in terms of the state of your network at this point.
So our network is up. We do have some power issues in North Abaco. I think BPL has reported that there may be some issues. So we do have our teams looking at the cell sites in North Abaco at this time. We have coverage, but we are monitoring very closely in the event that those cell sites are unavailable.
Any indication for your customers, any indication of when those kinks or those bumps in the roads would be ironed out?
Oh, they're being ironed out right now. As I indicated, our teams are on the ground. I'm not on the ground, but our teams are in a national NOC, and they're monitoring the cell sites and coverage. They just sent a note. The coverage is up. We've confirmed coverage, so we are well able to support our customers in North Abaco.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we certainly hope to have you as we ride out a tropical storm, however long that may be. Meantime, residents here in the capital are stocking up on food, hurricane supplies, and medications as Tropical Storm Nicole bears down on the Bahamas. Fern Carey has that angle.
Residents here in New Providence appear to be taking Tropical Storm Nicole seriously and are rushing to finalize their hurricane preparations as the system strengthens and continues its trek towards the northwest Bahamas. As of Tuesday afternoon, the Bahamas Department of Meteorology indicated that the islands of Eleuthera, Andros, and New Providence are under a tropical storm warning. It is news that head pharmacist at McCartney's Pharmacy, Clinton McCartney, believes is spurring patrons to stock up on their medications. He says the spike in customers started around 3 o'clock Monday afternoon.
People get a little bit nervous and they come in and they try to get all the essential medicines, especially the chronic disease medication, like people who have diabetes, hypertension, and also glaucoma, whatever. They try to get the medicine on time so that they would not be without it. We saw a little increase yesterday because people just found about it, well, people just learned about it basically in the last couple of days. So we saw more people coming in, and today I know we're going to be very busy, especially with the prescription drug plan. The only problem is that, some people might not be due, and they might panic, but once they have at least 7 days supply, they don't need to worry, because once they have 7 days supply of their medication, they would be safe.
Over at Super Value Food Store on Mackey Street, head cashier McLean Elaine says hurricane supplies are flying off the shelves, with customers queuing up early to beat the rush.
The rush started from the store open at 7 a.m.
And this busy shopper says apart from stocking up, she'll also be keeping a close eye on the storm in case she has to tweak her hurricane preparations.
Getting a couple items just in case. You have to have your water and your little essentials, and you want to get some canned goods and so on. Just in case it's more than they say it is, or it happens more than we expect at the last minute. Remember Dorian? It turned around on us, so we need to be prepared. Okay, so I'm just getting some items to top off what I have at home.
The Bahamas Department of Meteorology is also urging residents in the Northwest Bahamas to rush to complete hurricane preparations and to continue to keep abreast of all notifications from the department. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Fern Carey.
Well, as you just heard, Nicole sending New Providence residents in a bit of a tizzy, many of whom were gridlocked as they scrambled to secure much-needed hurricane supplies ahead of the storm. Our Anthony Smith tells us more.
We start serving at 7:15 to try to cut down the traffic.
Still, cars lined the corridors of Abundant Life Road, stretching for almost what seemed like a mile back.
I was here from 10 o'clock.
A rough estimate given by many waiting in line at the water depots when our news team spoke to residents around 12 o'clock. It's a chaotic scene akin to that of service stations and grocery stores across New Providence today. Last-minute preparations for Tropical Storm Nicole, leading worried residents to wait it out in line, all to stock up.
It's very important because you don't want to run out. You want to have the necessity.
I have to try and get as much as I can to prepare for the storm. Don't know how long the storm going to be, and we got to ride out the storm, right? And you got to make sure you have your water ready, because water is the most important thing. Without water, there's nothing you could do.
It's why water facilities are seeing a surge in consumers and why the folks at Chelsea's Choice Depot opened their doors early. Their employees working at a rapid pace and their stock going much faster than anyone can anticipate.
I can give you a exact number of how many gallons we sell. I know it's going to be a whole lot.
And despite the hours-long wait, the anxious customers we spoke to say they won't budge. Their rationale is better to be prepared than not.
Makes it easier. Being buttoned up already and having everything just convenient, because you never know the outcome of everything. So it's good to be prepared.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Anthony Smith.
A similar picture over in Grand Bahama, one of the islands in Nicole's direct path. Earlier today, our Azure Quant got a feel for what residents are up against.
Scores of residents lining up here at the Rotary Water Relief Foundation in preparation for Tropical Storm Nicole, many of whom say they have just started making the necessary provisions as this storm came out of nowhere.
We've just started our preparation. I'm just out for water. Yesterday I heard about the lines and so forth. I said, I'm not going to get involved with that. I'll start tomorrow and see where I get.
I'm trying to get some water at the moment. I know with the rest, but food in the house and little candles, little this, little that. Well, hope for the best.
I did most of my preparations yesterday as far as food goes and making sure that my home is secured. Today I'm just trying to get one bottle of water because that's all I need to top up and make sure that we have enough supplies at my house.
Life's been easy. It wasn't too hard. Just the last step for me. Prep for water. What God has planned, you can't stop. But just what it is, do what you're supposed to do. But you have to have your PPEs, personal protection equipment, your water, food, get the essentials what you need.
Some residents are even comparing this storm to previous hurricanes.
I feel like this storm is very reminiscent of Hurricane Joaquin. How it just popped out of nowhere and gained strength and over a short period of time. So I'm not taking any chances.
Something like Dorian, it just come and go, and I you can't tell.
Remember, Wilma came in November, last month of the season. So here we are. We're in Grand Bahama, so we should be expecting it. We should be prepared for it, trusting God that all goes well.
Tropical storm Nicole is expected to make landfall here on Grand Bahama as early as Wednesday, and residents here say they are not worried and are well prepared. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Adra Quant.
And this week we're asking, is the government being fair with its new price controls? To participate, simply log on to our website, and that's www.znesbahamas.com, as well as any of our social media platforms to answer. That's all it takes. The poll's final results will be aired on Friday. As always, thanks for participating. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, returns after this.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
Hey everyone, Barbie the Builder here, and the holiday season is coming up quickly. The Paint Center here at FYP is your one-stop shop for all your paint supplies, and while you're here, you'll save 20% on all interior and exterior house paints from Valspar. The sale ends December 24th, but I suggest you get here sooner than later. Check out FYP on Facebook and Instagram for more details, or just stop on by the store located at number 69 Wolf Road. Come on and see us here at FYP, where your perfect color awaits.
Hey, it's your honorary pump attendant here to educate you on the do's and don'ts at the service station. Here's what you don't do. Do not pull up from the pump without first checking that the nozzle has been removed from your car. Because if you pop this, that's about $600,000 to $30,000 to replace. These things ain't cheap. What you want to do is make sure that the nozzle has been removed, or just wait for the universal sign, which is the double tap.
Global Learning Exchange can help make your education dreams a reality. Enroll now, and your first course is complimentary. Sign up for a free information session today to learn more.
The world now knows the Bahamas isn't mincing words when it comes to combating the global climate change crisis. Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis dominating the United Nations Climate Change Conference stage this morning with the firm declaration that Bahamas is taking the lead in making the world a better place. Aljaviz Munnings has the story.
So I come here with a simple request. Let's get real.
As Tropical Storm Nicole makes landfall in the Bahamas, that was Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Philip Davis's message to world leaders Tuesday at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, commonly known as COP27. Prime Minister Davis was adamant that he wasn't telling the world to overhaul the World Bank for this new climate era because it's the right thing to do. But he implored world leaders to get smart and act quickly to address the systemic risk of climate change. He feels multilateral banks must play a crucial role in scaling up financial options that will provide real solutions. While acknowledging the goal to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees is on life support, the Prime Minister basically declared what's needed most at this conference is to confront the radical truth.
Let's get real. It's only going to get worse. We are entering a new climate era that will drive extreme geopolitical and economic instability. Statements without binding commitments or enforcement mechanisms have been used again and again as a way to postpone real action. Yes, the world's wealthiest carbon polluters should pay for the very extensive loss and damage caused by their emissions. But getting real means understanding that it will be self-interest that drives decision makers.
While boasting that he lives in the most beautiful country in the world,
well, another delay to prospects to jumpstart Grand Bahama's ailing recovery as the government throws in the towel on Florida-based Electra America to pull through with a deal for the beleaguered Grand Lucayan resort. Still, the government is confident another credible plan and shared vision will be realized.
We had a good deal with Electra America.
So good, in fact, that the vetting had been done. The company was said to have had a vision and plan, and there was evidence of funding. But as Tourism, Aviation and Investments Minister, the Honorable Chester Cooper, disclosed to reporters Tuesday, Electra continuously asked for more time.
We cannot continue to delay and delay. The art of making a deal is knowing when to move on. Electra indicated to us that due to changing circumstances in the marketplace, which we all are aware of, increasing cost of debt and financing, mainly by the increase in interest rates in the global markets, the increased cost of construction, the threat of a recession, the reality of the marketplace is where they found themselves in the intervening period.
So now that the multi-million-dollar deal has fallen through, what happens now?
There are credible interests from potential buyers for the resort, and we have begun those conversations. And final analysis, we hope to be able to do what's in the best interest of Grand Bahama, what's in the best interest of the Bahamian people. When we have a deal, we will make the announcement. We're going to ensure that we have something definitive to tell before we make further announcements.
This is certainly not the first time the government has been this close to locking in a deal for the Grand Lucayan. Back in 2018, the Minnis administration purchased the 3-hotel property for $65 million with the plan of selling it off as soon as possible. An agreement was struck with a company formed by Royal Caribbean and the ITM groups. However, soon after taking office, the Davis administration canceled the deal, citing that it was not in the best interest of Bahamians. Now, as for Grand Lucayan's new prospective buyer, the minister would only reveal this.
It's an entity with deep pockets. They've done recent transactions in the hospitality space. We're not going to say more about that at this time. These are sensitive discussions. These are complex transactions.
For now, then, its marketing machine has been cranked into overdrive to ensure word gets out that Grand Bahama is open for business. Well, as we head to the break, we'd like to thank all our viewers watching us live on our social media platforms. And just in case you missed the news, be sure to head there to catch up. Stay with us. There's more after the break.
Join up all life insurance. Secure the ones that you love. Join up with Family Guardian. We offer full protection. Join the family. Join the family. Family Guardian. Protect the ones you love. A brand that you can trust. Family Guardian. Good to grow. Keeping you in the know. Keeping you in the know. God, it's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow.
Soil, chickens, and mushrooms were all in the mix when Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, announced to the media a grant to encourage local farmers to adapt climate-resilient technology. The minister, along with members of the ministry and representatives from the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, introduced the initial recipients of this grant, who had previously applied to the Sustainable Food Growth Grant.
These individuals recognize the government's vision to use innovation to reduce operational costs while increasing productivity. It should be noted that these applicants, through the partnership with SBDC Access Accelerator, will be receiving funding from a separate grant program that we hope to become an annual program to encourage innovation, encourage technology, and encourage new ways of farming in this country.
Among the initial recipients of the grant are Mother Fungus, producer of local mushrooms, Abaco Big Bird poultry producers, and VNet Agritech soil and nutrient content management. According to Samantha Roll, the interim director of SBDC, this additional funding will help these businesses better ready themselves for climate change while continuing to grow domestic food production.
The inclusion of climate-smart technology in our agriculture and food production practices is a step in the right direction to improve the resilience of our food production systems and support the conservation of our natural resources.
In keeping with the goal of future-proofing the farming industry, Minister Sweeting will be traveling with Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Brave Davis to COP27 to address the impact that climate change is having on agriculture in small island states. For Good to Grow, I'm Georgie Bain.
Shell Unleaded improves your fuel economy, giving increased miles per gallon, allowing you to do more of what you really want. Special additives used in Shell Unleaded improve your engine's efficiency. So go further with Shell Unleaded. Venture out to beaches, Junkanoo, and festivals and bring home memories that will last a lifetime. Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
Well, as promised, we're going to return to Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean for the latest conditions across the Family Islands. Basil?
Good evening, Makisha. We're under mostly cloudy skies. Temperature 78 degrees. Relative humidity very rich at 88%. The winds are out of the northeast at 16 miles per hour. Your barometric pressure pretty low, 1,009.2 millibars. It's 29.81 inches, and the pressure is steady. Temperatures around the Family Islands this evening, they are brought to you by Family Guardian Insurance Company. We're protecting you. 75 degrees in Freeport, Grand Bahama, and Grand Torquay. Marshall, Abaco at 76 degrees. The Berry Islands a little warm at 80 degrees. 78 in Alistown, Bimini, 78 also in Harbor Island, Roxanne, Lutra, 82 degrees, 78 in Black Point, Exuma. Kemps Base on Andros and Fresh Creek in Central Andros at 78 degrees, 78 also in Alistown, Cat Island, San Salvador, Rumkey and Georgetown, Exuma, 81 degrees in Ragged Island, Clarence Long Island, and Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Meguana, 82, Ackles, 82, Magitown, Niagara, 81, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 83 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Builders Mall, home of FYP, the Tile King, and the Paint Center. In the Northwestern Islands tonight, northerly winds very strong, 20 to 30 knots. Wave fights rough at 7 to 12 feet. High tide takes place at 7:38 this evening. In the central Bahamas, the winds are going to be northwest, 15 to 25 knots. Wave fights 5 to 8 feet. So we have advisories in place for your boaters in the central Bahamas. In the southeastern islands, southwest to west winds, 15 to 20 knots. Wave fights 4 to 7 feet, which constitute a caution flag. And as we take you into Wednesday tomorrow, the winds become northwest at 30 to 40 knots. Wave heights 8 to 10 feet over the ocean. High tide 8:02 in the morning, low tide at 2:30 in the afternoon. Now for the central and southeastern islands, southwest component 20 to 25 knots, still very rough seas at 79 feet, and that advisory continue for the central and southeastern islands. Thursday in the northwest Bahamas, the winds become southeast to south at 30 to 40 knots. That's for the first part of the day, with wave heights very, very rough at 10 to 14 feet. But by afternoon, we will see a reduction in those winds as Nicole pulls away from the Bahamas. High tide will take place at 8:42 in the morning on Thursday. Low tide 3:12 in the afternoon for the central and southeastern islands on Thursday. Southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, and the wave heights 5 to 8 feet. That's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they are brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. going to do it for you. International temperatures brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. But stay tuned. Your extended weather forecast is still to come.
NBA League Pass is the coolest way to watch the hottest game there is. When threes rain down and superstars heat up. When clutch jumpers splash and your team is fire. You'll be there for up to 40 games a week. Any way you want to watch. NBA League Pass. Order now.
What is ROI?
Return on investment is what is the money you earn from your investment from the funds you place in an investment. This measures how successful the investment is.
Become an owner in the economy today. Visit ROACX.com or scan the QR code on the screen to start investing today.
My brother-in-law died. He left credit card bills, medical bills, and no life insurance. Now, every day is a struggle for my sister. I can't do it. I took my husband to Star General to sign up for a final expense plan. Anyone from 50 to 85 years old can get anywhere from $5,000 all the way up to $30,000 worth of coverage. No matter what life has planned, we'll have the final expense plan from Star General.
Link up with BTC and call it one and done. Link up with BTC and call it one and done.
Let me just say, welcome home, Samir.
It's a pretty big night for us here at BTC as Prime Minister Philip Davis and his wife, along with members of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, joined our parent company, CWC, our BTC board members, as well as senior members from BTC and tons of other dignitaries for the official welcome corporate reception for our newly minted CEO, Samir Bhatti.
Yeah, well, I'm here to welcome him to the Bahamas, back home, really. And I'm very pleased to know that we have a Bahamian at the helm and who understands and sensitive to our culture and our needs. And I'm very heartened by the fact that BDC has expressed so much confidence in the Bahamas through their investments. I noticed that they're expanding the employee base, and so I'm very pleased about that. I just want to say to BTC, keep on keeping on. And we have to be careful, not careful, because efficiency, effectiveness in growing this economy is dependent upon the manner in which we communicate. And so BTC and our communications network is necessary to continue on our path of growth.
We've gotten all the formalities out the way, and it is a party after all, so now it's time to hit the dance floor. These are still the moments that move us. I'm Corval Pyfrom. Be well and be back here next. BTC Connection.
Link up with BTC and call it one and done. Link up with BTC and call it one and done.
I've been blown away. Totally love the vibe to really be able to lead this process. I feel a great sense of gratitude around being able to have Shelley to be here with us.
This event was one that you had to be here.
You know, any time that I am able to spend time with especially young women who have aspirations and things they want to achieve, it is just always wonderful. So this has been a terrific experience today.
Welcome to the all-new CBS Pro Store. We'll be introducing various products such as plywood, sheetrock, metal stud, and a whole array of bulk construction products. But you can expect the same high level of service that you have been receiving at CBS Bahamas. We originally opened the store in 1980 as our retail location. Hearing from our customers that they wanted us to cater more to contractors, we decided to open the CBS Pro Store here at Robinson Road. So come by and visit us at CBS Pro Store on Robinson Road, where we can help you build beautiful.
The Sports Report is brought to you by Hoop Fest in Paradise, December 16th to the 17th at the Kendall G. Isaacs Gym. The best in U.S. and Bahamian high school basketball. Tuesday Sports, everyone. I'm Amajal Knowles. Topping sports news, the impending passage of Tropical Storm Nicole already causing headaches in the sports world. As we understand, sources close to the situation, the Bahamas men's national basketball team's World Cup qualifying game that was scheduled to take place on Thursday in Panama against the host country is now up in the air. Speaking to anonymous Bahamas Basketball Federation officials, the game is likely to be rescheduled amid mounting concerns of the storm's potential impact, as well as difficulty of travel for some of the players. The Bahamas coming off a tough 95-77 loss to Argentina, its most recent window of the qualifiers. In that game, saw Bahamian NBA stars Buddy Hield and Kai Jones suit up for the first time together. BAI says softball and baseball championships kicking off yesterday at Freedom Farm, but unfortunately, due to some inclement weather, the games were postponed. Before the stoppage in junior boys action, Queens College led Temple Christian 3-0 in the top of the second, and junior girls SAC would lead Queens College 10-0 in the top of the first. Speaking to officials, weather permitting, both games will resume from stoppage next week, Tuesday. Battling for the senior boys title of the Nassau Christian Academy Crusaders and the St. Augustine's College Big Red Machine. Senior girls title will be decided between the Crusaders and the Queens College Comets. Also scheduled to begin on Sunday are the 2022 North American Optimist Sailing Championships. While a number of international sailors have already made their trek to Nassau, there are others who are set to arrive later this week. Committee member Emma Tinkler gives us this update.
But so far, we've had no disruptions as such. Tomorrow, we are expecting a lot of teams coming in. USA, they have over 20 sailors. Switzerland, Mexico, Peru, Puerto Rico. So there could be some disruptions to their arrival schedule. Also on Thursday, we have a lot coming in. Panama, Brazil, the Netherlands, Virgin Islands. When we have 20 countries altogether in the event. So there's 155 sailors in total. Plus all the entourage, which sort of almost doubles that amount. So at the moment, I'm not sure what's happening today on the water, whether they got a little bit of training in, the teams that are here. They may have done, but it's been very, very breezy. Generally, these boats don't go out in this level of wind, and certainly they won't be going out tomorrow.
Tinkler adding that she's optimistic for this weekend.
Obviously, some of the site preparations have had to go on hold. We were wanting tents erected yesterday, and that's had to be put off for another few days. But hopefully by the weekend, we'll be up and running and back on track. And everybody will just have to get a lot of last-minute training crammed in on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. In college basketball news, Ole Miss Lady Rebels coach and Grand Bahamian Yolette McPhee-McCowan sent in her prayers for family and friends back home in the 242 in a tweet earlier today, saying she's praying for a Bahamian family as they brace for this hurricane. Now, as for the action on the hardwood, her women's basketball team started their season out with a dominant 72-60 win over the Kennesaw State Owls on Monday night in the SJPB Pavilion. Ole Miss began its season with solid numbers as 4 Rebels scored in double figures. They would take down Kennesaw State again 72-60.
The new group figuring a lot of things out. I thought that Coach Blue did a great job, had them really prepared to come in and compete. I expected that, and I think as we continue to go, the competition is only going to get harder, but I think for our group, we're just going to fly this plane as we go. You know, it's a lot of newness. A lot of people got to work out some kinks, and, you know, I'm just grateful we came out with the win.
And several Bahamian Division I basketball players opening up their seasons as well on the men's side. Frederick King and his 9th-ranked Creighton Blue Jays would look like one of the top teams in college basketball, handling the University of St. Thomas 72-60. King in his first collegiate game posting 5 points and 2 rebounds in 8 minutes of action. Garvin Clark Jr. and Sammy Hunter would hit the floor for the Akron Zips, who defeated South Dakota State 81-80. Hunter would finish with 4 points and 4 boards in 22 minutes of play. Clark would chip in with 4 rebounds as well. Ramad Dean would pour in 7 points and 4 rebounds as well as an assist in 14 minutes of action as the Fordham Rams would improve to 1-0 on the season, taking down the Dartmouth Big Green 88-74. And finally, Franco Miller Jr. and his Florida Gulf Coast Eagles would improve to 1-0 as well, knocking off the USC Trojans 74-61. Miller Jr. would add 2 points and 3 rebounds in 11 minutes of action. That was look at your sports on this Tuesday. A check on weather when we return. The Sports Report was brought to you by Hoop Fest in Paradise, December 16th to the 17th at the Kendall G. Isaacs Gymnasium. The best in U.S. and Bahamian high school basketball.
My name is Gwaine Ward, and I am the Senior Manager in the Enforcement Department at the Securities Commission of the Bahamas. The Securities Commission protects investors from frauds and scams that are now called financial schemes. If a person has been charged with promoting a scam, they may be criminally prosecuted. We educate and protect investors so that we can build a country that can weather financial storms.
The pandemic has been not so kind to so many people in our community. And when we think about how we fared coming off the pandemic, we're trying to find meaningful ways to continue to give back.
So with the Together platform, it allows people to be able to give back, to make small donation, whether it's $20 or whatever you can give, to be able to give and to help those people who are in need.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best-kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
We just got the new fiber internet speed bump. Now my internet's so fast, I can watch 2 4K movies, play video games, and browse on my computer at the same time.
Yeah, my internet's so fast, I can download a whole season of shows before my noodles done cooking.
Mine's so fast, when I go to church online, service actually over early.
Mine's so fast, when I'm working from home, 5 o'clock, come before 3.
Sound like you got this BTC fiber internet speed bump like me.
But it's so fast, I had to have it.
Current fiber internet bundle customers now have as much as 3 times the speed. Totally free. Link up with BTC.
Time now for weather.
In our final look at weather, if you look at our satellite picture, Nicole now closing in on the Abacos at 7 o'clock this afternoon. The center was located at 27.3 degrees north, longitude 74.3 west. Those coordinates puts it some 250 miles to the northeast of Abaco, moving now west-southwest at 10 miles per hour, maximum sustained winds at 65 miles per hour. Now, let me just remind you, hurricane warnings remain in effect for the extreme northwest Bahamas, and that includes Grand Bahama, Bimini, Abaco, and the Berry Islands. And there's a tropical storm warning in place for the remainder of the northwest Bahamas, which includes Andros, New Providence, and Eleuthera. Residents in the extreme northwest Bahamas, that is Grand Bahama and Abaco, should have completed the necessary preparation and simply stay indoors once conditions start to deteriorate. And that should be happening right about now, as those tropical storm with force winds should be impacting the Abacos as we speak, and things will continue to get worse as we go later into the night, with the system intensified, possibly becoming a hurricane late tomorrow night as it reaches the west coast of Grand Bahama. For the night here in the capital, we're looking at windy conditions with bands of rain from Tropical Storm Nicole, 76 degrees for your low temperature. And tomorrow, look for, again, occasional rains with Tropical Storm downpours taking place. Very gusty conditions throughout the day, 84 degrees for your high temperature. And the extended weather forecast, wet conditions right into Thursday morning, but by Thursday afternoon, things will start drying out a bit, and hopefully the all clear should be given sometime late on Thursday afternoon, or possibly by Thursday night. The weekend looking pretty good with lots of sunshine working its way back into our forecast temperature-wise, keeping you in the 80s during the daytime. Those nighttime temperatures going to be very comfortable with the very strong winds that we'll be experiencing from Nicole. Makishla.
Well, thanks, Basil. That does it for the Bahamas tonight. Thank you for continuing to make ZNS your first choice for news and information. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. And remember to stay with us for a live 11 p.m. report of the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. From all of us here at ZNS, thank you for watching and good night.